First at noon, the Maui doctor accused of trying to kill his wife during a birthday trip to Oahu was back in court today. Gerhard Koenig's attorney, Tommy Otake, wants access to Ariel Koenig's phone and social media records. Otake says they're necessary to building their case to defend Gerhard Koenig against the attempted murder charge and the possibility of life in prison. Back in March, Koenig allegedly tried to push his wife off a cliff on a poly hiking trail. She has since filed for divorce.
Cases like this are commonplace in these types of cases. Almost every week, probably, people subpoena phone records. So it's nothing unusual. What's unusual is the extent that Ms. Koenig is going to try and prevent us from getting that information. What she is trying to hide in there, that's obviously between her and her attorney.
What is the relevance of these records to the allegations in this case? Snapchat records over the past year, leading up through even after the incident, cell phone records, text records in particular, I think are the most concerning here.
Ariel Koenig's attorney argued that it would be a violation of her privacy. Now, in the end, the judge allowed some of her records to be handed over, but Otake will first need to provide the court with more information about his reasoning and theory for wanting specific records. Trial is set for September 1st. Hawaii Island police say they've now recovered the human remains of 2 women deep within the debris of a massive banyan tree that topped over last weekend in downtown Hilo. Officials first discovered remains yesterday morning, but were unable to get to them due to safety concerns. HFD spent hours cutting away branches and discovered there were 2 victims. Autopsies will be conducted this week to determine the exact cause of death. The victims' identities have not yet been positively identified. The man accused in a deadly hit and run on Kauai heads to trial today. Salvin Hilario is charged in the February crash that killed 30-year-old Kylan Tinzik, a beloved lifeguard from Wailua. Police say Tinzik was skateboarding when Hilario hit him and took off. He later died from his injuries. Hilario has a long criminal traffic history dating back decades and remains in custody on $250,000 bail. Honolulu police have opened an animal cruelty investigation after a man allegedly shot and killed a dog at Sewers Beach in Maui. The dog's owner told police that around 10:30 Saturday night, he and the suspect got into an argument about his 10-year-old pit bull. That's when the suspect shot his dog, threatened him, and fled in a van. The dog was taken to the Hawaiian Humane Society where it died. Police say the suspect is in his 20s, around 5'6" and 200 pounds. If you have any information, call 911 or Crime Stoppers at the number on your screen. A Canadian father is charged with murder for allegedly killing his 9-year-old daughter on a trip to the U.S. Now, police say he called 911, saying his daughter had been abducted, but according to authorities, it became clear that story wasn't true. Jared Hill has the details.
What started as an Amber Alert in New York's Adirondacks is now a murder investigation. On Saturday night, 9-year-old Melina Fratellin's father called 911 to report her missing.
So the suspect's initial account is that he had pulled over in the area of exit 22 in Lake George, pulled over into a parking lot to urinate. His initial report is he steps away to a wooded area, returns to the vehicle, and at that point, his child is gone from the vehicle.
But officers noted inconsistencies with Luciano Fratellin's story, including saying he saw his daughter forced into a white van. State Police Captain Robert McConnell said officers searched a remote area about 40 miles north of Ticonderoga and found the girl's body in a pond.
We had aviation, drones, K-9, investigators, uniformed troopers. Every resource we had to bear, we applied in this investigation.
On Monday, the 45-year-old pleaded not guilty to charges including second-degree murder. The father and daughter were on their way home to Montreal after vacationing in Connecticut and New York City. Police did not offer a possible motive.
It was very difficult and emotional. At that point, though, the best we could do is provide some measure of justice to the family.
Melina lived with her mother, who's been separated from Fratellin for several years, but she told investigators she did not have concerns about her daughter's safety. Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Back here at home, happening today, crews are set to begin work to remove the Falls of Clyde from Honolulu Harbor. A team will start the process by restoring the watertight integrity of the ship's support walls so that it can be towed. The 146-year-old vessel will be taken out to the deep water site about 12 miles away, where it will then be sunk. That's expected to happen in November. The estimated cost for the removal project is $4.9 million, with a contract awarded to Shipwright, a Florida-based firm. Well, Hawaii was under a tsunami watch for a little over a half hour Saturday night. It was a relatively short period of time, but people still took notice. Emergency officials say the watch should be a reminder to be prepared to stay safe. Ben Gutierrez has more.
Emergency experts say staying informed is key in a tsunami watch.
I'm always concerned because I have family and friends that live in this area. So even if it doesn't affect me, it would affect them. So I'm concerned about that.
Kind of scared when you hear alerts, hear alerts, but your friend telling you this kind of stuff, and then you wonder, wow, man, what if the thing won't happen for real, eh?
Saturday night's watch was issued a little after 9 o'clock after a 7.4 magnitude earthquake off Russia's Kamchatka Peninsula. In 1952, a magnitude 9 earthquake along the same coastline triggered a tsunami that significantly damaged parts of Hilo. But this time, the watch was canceled 39 minutes later because there was no threat to Hawaii. But some tsunami waves did reach Oahu.
I think the biggest wave might have been at Haleiwa, probably on the order of a few inches. So even if you were there, you probably wouldn't have noticed it, but we can see it on our gauges.
While there were no damaging waves, emergency officials say the watch is a good reminder for people to be prepared. The Honolulu Department of Emergency Management recommends knowing whether your home, place of work, or school are in an evacuation zone. If so, you should know where to go inland if there's a tsunami.
Just so that you're not losing time trying to decide where to go. So knowing as much as you can ahead of time will really make the difference in the moment.
The department says it does not open designated shelters because it could clog roads to a specific location and delay evacuations. If you do not need to evacuate, stay put so you're not making more traffic. Because a tsunami can take hours to reach Hawaii, officials say they always activate the Emergency Operations Center during a watch.
So some of these we don't have a lot of time. And so as soon as we go into any kind of tsunami potential, we activate so that we can start getting the right folks in the room as quickly as possible.
You should also pay attention to when a watch is elevated to an advisory or warning. An advisory means there could be hazardous waves, but they won't flood the coastline. But a warning means water can spread through coastal areas.
That's a real hazard. You don't want to be caught in that. It's very, very dangerous for humans. We're little bitty things that can be in a sea of debris. So that's very dangerous.
You can also sign up for emergency alerts from the city. We have the link to do so on our website.
How's it on this Monday? We're looking at a really nice day today. We're starting out with a few showers for a handful of windward spots mainly. Leeward sides will remain mostly dry. Drier conditions are expected later in the week, and the fire conditions might be elevated because of those same dry conditions. We're still expecting lots of afternoon sunshine with those breezy winds filling in at 15 to 20. And that means it's still going to be a little choppy on the windward side, and we're expecting small southwest pulses to move in today.
Thank you, Guy. Another stunning show by Kilauea yesterday during the latest eruptive episode, but it was a little less grand than episodes past. Here's a live look now at the quiet Halema'uma'u crater, and it comes after a roughly 13-hour episode that started in the early morning hours yesterday. Here's what it actually looked like. We're told fountains hit heights of more than 200 feet before this ended at around 6:35 last night. And that's a far cry from the lava heights of over 1,000 feet seen in weeks past. USGS officials tell us the nozzle of the vent has broken down, so lava sprayed in multiple directions, preventing the fountains from growing taller. A new CBS News poll shows President Trump's approval rating sliding as public support for his deportation and tariff policies appear to be going down. Erica Brown is at the White House with more on that, plus the latest on Trump's feud with Harvard.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth met with the president of the Philippines at the Pentagon Monday ahead of expected trade talks with President Trump this week. The visit comes with President Trump's August 1st trade deal deadline approaching.
The August 1st deadline is just really the start date for when the United States of America will begin collecting this revenue from all of the countries around the world who the president has sent these letters to.
New CBS News polling shows Americans want more focus on lowering prices rather than tariffs, with 60% opposing new taxes on imported goods. CBS News polling also shows President Trump's overall approval rating down more than 10 points since February, but the president still enjoys strong support from his base 6 months into his second term. In the poll, there is growing disapproval of the president's deportation program, with more Americans saying the Trump administration is not prioritizing dangerous criminals. As a federal court hearing for Harvard University's challenge to the administration freezing more than $2 billion in grants and contracts got underway, a group of alumni, students, and faculty rallied outside the court in Boston.
We're putting our research and the research of the next generations, not only here at Harvard, but across the country, at risk.
In a social media post Monday afternoon, the president called Harvard anti-Semitic, anti-Christian, and anti-America, and said the government will stop the practice of giving billions to the university. Erica Brown, CBS News, the White House.
Another apparent close call in the sky, this time in North Dakota. A pilot told dozens of passengers on a Delta flight he had to make an aggressive maneuver to avoid colliding with a B-52 bomber, which he says took him by surprise. Chris Van Cleve has the story.
The FAA is working to gather more information about what happened Friday night. We know it was a SkyWest regional jet operating as Delta Connection with about 80 people on board that took an evasive maneuver to avoid a military aircraft, according to the pilot, perhaps a giant B-52 bomber. We don't know how close the two aircraft came, but the pilot was concerned passengers may have been able to see the plane coming at them if they were looking out their window. How do we know that? He made this announcement after the plane safely landed in Minot, North Dakota.
Sorry about the aggressive maneuver. It caught me by surprise. This is not normal at all. I don't know why they didn't give us a heads up, because the Air Force Base does have radar, and nobody said, hey, there's also a B-52 in the pad or anything. Long story short, it was not fun, but I do apologize for it, and thank you for understanding.
The pilot received a round of applause from passengers. SkyWest says it is investigating, but stressed the flight landed safely in Minot after being cleared for approach by the tower, but performing a go-around when another aircraft became visible in their flight path. This comes nearly 6 months after an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with an American Airlines regional jet near Washington, D.C., killing 67 people. The Air Force tells CBS News it is now looking into this matter and says a B-52 was operating in the area of Minot Friday night. It was doing a flyover of the North Dakota State Fair. We expect the FAA will launch a more formal investigation, perhaps as soon as today. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Phoenix.
Ahead on This Is Now, a rise in the number of bike thefts on Oahu. What authorities say you should do to keep those two wheels from going missing. Plus, the actor who starred as Theodore Huxtable on The Cosby Show has died after a tragic drowning incident in Costa Rica. A look back at Malcolm-Jamal Warner's career when we come back. up, if you were affected by the Red Hill fuel crisis back in 2021, you are invited to join a new effort to track how it's impacted the community. The Red Hill Registry is a UH-led initiative to provide resources and track the health of impacted residents. A launch event and community fair will be held on Saturday, August 2nd at Moanalua High School. We're told there will be resource booths, activities, and food. If you need more information, just log on to redhillregistry.org. A recent study ranks Hawaii 9th in the U.S. for the highest rate of bicycle theft. Cycling advocates say you can do your part to prevent it. Annalisa Burgos has more.
More than 1,100 bicycles were reported stolen in Hawaii in 2023, a high rate compared to the rest of the country. On Oahu alone, at least 240 bikes were reported stolen since June 2024. Malia Haranaga with the Hawaii Bicycling League says part of the problem is people don't know how to properly lock their bikes.
That's really the thing that we educate people is that you don't want to give them time and opportunity to be able to work on your lock. You want to make sure you're locking up in a high visibility place where there's a lot of pedestrians walking around.
HPD says it hosts operations on bikes with possible violations and tries to return them to their rightful owners. The UH Manoa campus is a popular location for thieves. Former student Stevie Wu says her bike was stolen when she hitched a ride with a friend one rainy night and left it on campus.
And so I had just locked it up and I unscrewed and took the seat out and then left. And the next day I came back, it was gone.
Christopher Salas has had 2 bikes stolen, one off campus. He said he didn't lock his bike securely because the nearby bike racks were full.
Each time my bike got stolen, I took it more seriously, I suppose, or I just, went to protect my stuff more because it's a loss of money because you have to buy a new bike, but also it was my main way of getting around.
Salas filed police reports for the bikes, but they were never recovered. The city requires users to register bikes with wheels at least 20 inches in diameter. It costs $15 per bike. The Hawaii Bicycling League urges cyclists to be vigilant and change where you lock it up to prevent theft.
So the frame is your bicycle, so that's the body of your bike that can't really be replaced. So you want to make sure that you're locking up the frame as well as whatever else could be disattached.
Annalisa Burgos, Hawaii News Now.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner, best known for his role as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, has died at the age of 54. Authorities say he drowned off Costa Rica while on vacation. As Nick Zikovich shows us, Warner was more than just a sitcom star. He was a symbol of a cultural shift in American television.
I was that close to one of the most embarrassing days of my life.
Malcolm-Jamal Warner first captured the nation's hearts in 1984 as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Not just as the beloved on-screen son, but a relatable and witty presence for millions of viewers who grew up alongside the Huxtable family.
This is your life, do something with it. Don't be too scared to compete.
In 2015, Warner reflected on The Cosby Show's complex legacy.
When it comes to the images of people of color on television and in film, no matter what we've had, in terms of the things that continue to perpetuate the negative stereotype of people of color, we've always had The Cosby Show to hold up against that.
Warner went on to showcase his versatility, starring in sitcoms like Malcolm and Eddie, lending his voice to the Magic School Bus, and even earning a Grammy in 2015 for Best Traditional R&B Performance. In recent years, he hosted the podcast Not All Hood, exploring rich, diverse stories in the Black community.
Anybody can be a mother and father, right? But being a mom and dad, it's investing that time.
Yes.
It's cultivating those relationships.
Yes.
It's forming these young minds and helping to guide and raise them to be good people.
A private, devoted family man, Warner leaves behind his wife and daughter. Nick Zechevich, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Let's take a live look outside now with our tower cam looking out at Honolulu Harbor. So what's in store for this week? Since it's Aloha Monday, guys gonna have your full forecast in 2 minutes.
Now, First Alert Weather with Guy Huggy.
How's it on this Monday? Things are looking pretty good in the big picture and the small picture. In the big picture, there are no cyclones here in the Central Pacific, and over the next 7 days should be fairly quiet with that regard. Now, in the smaller picture, you can see there are some windward showers moving in to a handful of windward sides neighborhoods, but still, there's not a lot of rain, and we're expecting drier conditions to take over, especially for those leeward areas. Now, the winds will be filling in today. They're slow right now, but as the day progresses, they'll pick up speed. They'll run at breezy levels through tomorrow, and then they're going to ease up from Wednesday on, so it's going to be a little more sticky for the rest of the week. But for today, this is what we have. Wind's going to come up to about 15 to 20 by lunchtime. That'll help with the heat and the humidity because of all the sunshine. High temperatures will be running into the upper 80s, and the days are getting shorter the deeper we go into the summer season. Now, we still have small summer swells coming into south and west shores on a small pulse. That's going to be it for the rest of the week. We still have elevated surf on the east side, but of course conditions there are choppy because the breezy winds through tomorrow. So you can expect a beautiful day today. Actually, it's a gorgeous run of weather with mostly sunny skies. There will be some wind and mocha showers today. Fewer showers from tomorrow on. And notice the winds, they'll run breezy today and tomorrow, and they'll run lighter from Wednesday on. So that means from Wednesday on going through the weekend, it's going to be a little bit more humid. And we might see some afternoon pop-up showers, but it's going to be mostly dry.
Good news to end the show. If your Monday feels like it's moving at a snail's pace, folks across the pond can relate. The English village of Norfolk turned slow motion into a sport over the weekend, inviting snails from around the world to slug it out in the annual World Snail Racing Championships. This year's slimy superstar was Bilbo Sluggins, inching his way to victory. His handler didn't own him. She actually rented the little racer for the competition. His trainer, aptly named Shell, took home a trophy stuffed with lettuce leaves. And the Kauai community came together to save the day for a young performer. 13-year-old Michaela Galano got stuck in Hanalei Sunday morning after flooding shut down the Hanalei Bridge. Now, this was a bit of a dilemma as she was supposed to star as Donkey in Hawaii Children's Theater's performance of Shrek Jr. the musical Sunday afternoon. Thanks to a social media post, the Kauai community rallied and spread the word and got attention of Brenda Rogers, who boated the young star across the water and saved the day and the play. Thanks for watching. This Is Now, everyone. More news first at 4 right here on K Channel.